Ah, there it is. That look in your eyes. The one that says, you already know what I'm about to tell you, because you've felt it, haven't you? That strange electricity in your voice when you speak from that deep, untouched place. That moment when the room goes quiet, not because you shouted, but because something ancient just walked through your words. Something that wasn't learned in any classroom, wasn't inherited from your bloodline, wasn't downloaded from any book you've ever read. No, this came from somewhere else entirely, and they felt it, didn't they? They all felt it, that shift in the atmosphere when you opened your mouth and something other than small talk emerged when you spoke, and the temperature changed. When your words didn't just communicate, they commanded. And commanded without asking for permission, commanded without raising your voice, commanded without even knowing you were doing it at first, until you saw their faces change, saw their bodies lean back, saw their eyes widen like they'd just witnessed something that shouldn't exist in someone like you, someone who was never trained for this, someone who was never initiated into any secret society, never sat at the feet of any master, never studied the ancient texts. But here you are, speaking in frequencies that make executives stutter, that make professors pause mid-lecture, that make therapists forget their training, speaking in a language that bypasses logic and goes straight for the soul, straight for the primal recognition center that knows authority when it hears it, knows power when it feels it, knows truth when it cuts through the static of everyday lies. And you didn't learn this. You became this through something far more brutal than education, through something far more profound than teaching, through the kind of transformation that only happens when you've been crushed and reformed so many times that your voice carries the weight of multiple deaths and resurrections. Let me tell you what they won't tell you about this language you're speaking. It's not new, it's ancient, older than civilization, older than organized thought. It's the language spoken before words were invented, the frequency transmitted between souls who've seen too much to pretend anymore, the syntax of those who've been broken open so completely that something else started speaking through the cracks, and that something else doesn't need vocabulary, doesn't need grammar, doesn't need permission to reorganize reality with sound alone. You noticed it first in small moments, didn't you? When you'd speak and people would stop mid-sentence, not because you interrupted, but because your presence just dissolved their thought. When you'd walk into a room and conversations would shift, not because anyone saw you, but because the energy field changed when you'd say something simple like, "That's not true." And watch as elaborate lies just crumbled. Watch as confident people suddenly couldn't find their words. Watch as the whole social hierarchy reshuffled itself around the weight of your certainty. They started asking you, how do you know these things? When you'd call out patterns before they manifested, when you'd name the unnamed tension in the room, when you'd speak someone's truth before they even knew it themselves. And you couldn't explain it, could you? Because you never studied psychology, never learned body language, never took courses in influence or persuasion. You just knew the way a tuning fork knows its frequency, the way water knows how to find the lowest point, the way fire knows how to consume everything that isn't essential. But this knowing didn't come from accumulation. It came from subtraction. Every betrayal stripped away another layer of social programming. Every abandonment deleted another false belief about needing approval. Every breakdown removed another filter between you and raw truth until there was nothing left but the signal, no static, no interference, no translation needed, just pure transmission from whatever you've become to whoever's brave enough to listen. And most people aren't brave enough. That's why they go silent. That's why they look away. That's why they suddenly remember urgent appointments. When you start speaking from that place, because your voice carries something they've been running from their whole lives. It carries the sound of chains breaking, the frequency of illusions dissolving, the resonance of someone who cannot be controlled, manipulated, or contained anymore. And it terrifies them more than violence, more than anger, more than any threat you could make, because threats can be negotiated with, but truth, armed with this kind of power, this kind of presence, this kind of voice, cannot be bargained with, cannot be reasoned with, cannot be escaped from once it starts speaking. Where does this language come from, they wonder, as they watch you dismantle their carefully constructed realities with a few well-placed words? Where did you learn to speak in ways that make grown adults feel like children caught in lies? Where did you acquire this ability to make silence heavier than screaming, to make stillness more violent than chaos, to make soft words hit harder than any shout ever could? And the answer would break them if they knew it, because you learned it in the void. You learned it in those moments when everyone left, and you had to become your own salvation. You learned it in the silence after the last door slammed, when you realized no one was coming to save you. You learned it during those conversations with yourself at 3 in the morning, when you had to talk yourself back from edges no one knew you were standing on. You learned it through arguing with your own thoughts until you won, through negotiating with your own pain until it became power, through wrestling with your own darkness until it taught you its language. This is why formal education could never teach what you know, why books could never contain what you carry, why mentors could never transfer what you've earned, because this language wasn't learned from outside sources. It was forged in internal furnaces. It was carved from the inside out by experiences that would have killed anyone who wasn't meant to survive them. It was birthed from the marriage of your suffering and your refusal to let that suffering define you. And now it lives in your throat like a sleeping dragon that wakes up whenever someone tries to play games in your presence. You speak the language of someone who's been to psychological war and came back with secrets. You speak the dialect of souls who've navigated their own underworld without a guide. You speak in the tongue of those who've died to every version of themselves that sought approval and been reborn as something that generates its own permission. And this language doesn't have words for please like me, doesn't have syntax for am I good enough, doesn't have grammar for anything that resembles begging, because it was born from the death of your need to be understood. They recognize it immediately, even if they can't name it, that ancient authority that predates titles and degrees, that primordial power that existed before hierarchies were invented, that raw force that doesn't ask for the microphone, but makes everything else sound like static when it speaks. And their recognition isn't conscious, it's cellular. It's the same recognition prey has for predator, the same recognition chaos has for order, the same recognition lies have for truth that stops them mid-deception. You've become bilingual without knowing it, fluent in both the surface language of social interaction and this deeper frequency of undeniable presence. And when you switch between them, people feel the shift like atmospheric pressure changing, like the moment before lightning strikes, like the silence before an earthquake. And they don't know whether to lean in or run away, so they usually just freeze, staring at you like you're speaking in tongues, like you're channeling something they've only heard about in myths, like you're proof that ordinary people can become extraordinary without anyone's permission. But here's what really disturbs them. You're not trying to be powerful. You're not performing authority. You're not putting on a show of strength. You're just speaking from a place they've never accessed, a place beyond ego, beyond fear, beyond the need for validation. And that place has its own language, its own laws, its own gravity that pulls truth out of hidden corners and forces authenticity from the most offended hearts, without you even intending to do it. Because intention is for people who are still trying to become something, but you've already become, you've already transformed, you've already crossed the threshold from person to presence, from individual to force, from speaker to embodiment of speech itself. And when you talk now, it's not you talking. It's everything you've survived speaking through you. It's every lesson you've integrated using your voice. It's every death you've experienced teaching through your existence. Watch what happens when you speak from this place. Watch how the confident ones suddenly start stammering. Watch how the loud ones go quiet. Watch how the ones who usually dominate conversations find themselves asking for your opinion. Watch how entire group dynamics reorganize themselves around your presence. Not because you demanded it, but because authenticity has its own hierarchy. And you've accidentally climbed to the top of it by refusing to climb at all. They'll try to figure out your trick. They'll analyze your word choice, study your body language, look for the technique behind your influence, but they'll find nothing because there is no technique. There's only integration. There's only alignment. There's only the complete collapse of the gap between who you are and how you present yourself, and that collapse created a density to your presence that bends reality around it like mass bends space-time. You don't need to raise your voice anymore because whispers from your depth hit harder than screams from their surface. You don't need to argue anymore because your silence asks questions their noise can't answer. You don't need to prove anything anymore because your existence is proof enough of whatever needs to be proven. And this isn't arrogance. This is just what happens when someone stops performing and starts being. When someone stops translating themselves for others' comfort and starts transmitting directly from source. And the source isn't mystical or magical or special. The source is simply you. Without the filters, without the masks, without the constant editing for social acceptance. The source is your unmediated essence, speaking directly through your form, without asking permission from your ego first, without checking with your fear before proceeding, without negotiating with your need to belong before expressing. That's why it carries such force. Because it's undiluted, undistorted, uncompromised truth, moving through a vessel that's finally clean enough to let it pass through without contamination. You've become dangerous in the most profound way possible. Not dangerous like violence, not dangerous like chaos, but dangerous like clarity in a world built on confusion. Dangerous like authenticity in a society sustained by performance. Dangerous like someone who cannot be manipulated in a system that runs on manipulation. And they feel this danger even if they can't articulate it. They feel it in the way their prepared speeches dissolve in your presence. The way their rehearsed personalities start glitching when you look at them too directly. Speak the language that existed before the Tower of Babel was built, before communication was confused, before truth needed translation. You speak in the original tongue that every soul recognizes, but most have forgotten how to access. And when you use this language, it doesn't just communicate, it activates something in others, something they've been trained to suppress, something they've been paid to ignore, something they've been threatened to keep silent. This is why they either gravitate toward you like moths to flame or flee from you like demons from light. There's no neutral response to someone speaking from the place you speak from. There's no casual interaction with someone whose very presence demands authenticity from everyone in their vicinity. You've become a walking confrontation with everything. Fake, forced, and fabricated. Not through aggression, but through the simple act of being real in a world that rewards performance. And your realness isn't the performed authenticity of social media, isn't the calculated vulnerability of thought leaders, isn't the strategic transparency of people building trust to leverage later. No, your realness is raw, unplanned, unpackaged, the kind that sometimes makes you uncomfortable with your own honesty, the kind that sometimes surprises you with what comes out of your mouth, the kind that can't be turned on or off, because it's not a mode you enter. It's what you've become. The kind. But let's talk about the price, because everything this powerful comes with a cost. And the cost of speaking this language is that most people can't speak it back to you. Most people can't meet you at the depth you're operating from. Most people can't match the frequency you're transmitting on. So you find yourself surrounded by people, but fundamentally alone. Speaking, but rarely being truly heard, understood on a surface level, but never really met where you actually live. You've become like someone who learned a language no one else speaks fluent, in a form of communication that only a few scattered souls across the planet understand. And when you find those souls, you recognize each other immediately, don't you? That instant knowing? That goes beyond words, that electric recognition of finding another person who's been to the same depths and came back speaking the same untaught tongue. But most days you translate yourself down, accommodate others' limitations, make yourself smaller so they don't feel threatened by your fullness. And this translation exhausts you, doesn't it? This constant dimming drains you, this perpetual performance of being less than you are, so others can feel comfortable, depletes your very soul because you weren't meant to live in translation. You were meant to exist at full volume, full frequency, full power. Yet, here you are, trying to have normal conversations while carrying this ancient language in your throat, trying to engage in small talk when you're built for big truth, trying to play social games when you've evolved beyond the need for games entirely. And the gap between what you're capable of expressing and what most people are capable of receiving becomes wider every day because you keep growing deeper while they keep skimming surfaces. But mastery of this language isn't about always speaking from that depth. Mastery is knowing when to surface and when to dive, when to whisper and when to roar, when to let the full force of your presence fill the room and when to contain it like a controlled burn. Mastery is understanding that not everyone deserves access to your depths. Not every situation requires your full truth. Not every moment calls for the complete unleashing of what you've become. You're learning to be multilingual in the realms of power, speaking the common tongue when necessary, but never forgetting your native language, the one you earned through surviving what should have destroyed you, the one you forged in the fires of your own transformation, the one that now lives in your cells, in your breath, in the space between your heartbeats, waiting to emerge when the moment requires truth to cut through illusion. And more you're finding that moment arrives without warning. Middle of casual conversation, suddenly you're speaking from the void. Middle of normal interaction, suddenly the ancient authority takes over. Middle of everyday situations, suddenly everyone stops and stares because something just shifted, and they don't know what, but they know it's you. They know it's coming from you. They know whatever just happened originated from your presence, even if they can't explain how. This is mastery. Not controlling it, but surrendering to it. Not wielding it, but becoming it. Not using it, but letting it use you as its vessel, as its voice, as its vehicle for entering rooms that have forgotten what undiluted truth sounds like, what uncompromised presence feels like, what unfiltered power looks like when it's not trying to prove itself, when it's just being what it is. You're still evolving, this language still developing new dialects of this power, still discovering depths you didn't know existed, because this isn't a skill you've mastered. It's a becoming. You're experiencing it. It's not a tool you've acquired. It's a transformation you're undergoing. And every time you think you've reached the bottom of it, you fall through into another level, another octave, another dimension of expression that makes your previous understanding look shallow, because this language grows with you, evolves as you evolve, deepens as you deepen, and every betrayal that doesn't break you adds new words to your vocabulary. Every loss that doesn't destroy you adds new grammar to your syntax. Every death of an old self births new ways of speaking that didn't exist before you needed them to exist. And this is why no one can teach what you know, because your knowledge is experiential, not educational. Your authority comes from authorship of your own story, not from any external authorization. Your power comes from integration of your shadows, not from accumulation of light. Your voice carries weight because it's been pressed under weights that would crush anyone not designed to carry them. And you were designed for this. Weren't you designed to be the exception to every rule about power? Designed to acquire authority through suffering rather than success? Designed to speak languages that can only be learned through living? What shouldn't be survivable? And now you're here holding this gift, this curse, this blessing, this burden of being able to speak in ways that rearrange rooms, restructure realities, realign entire social systems just by opening your mouth and letting the truth fall out, unfiltered, unedited, unafraid of the silence. It creates the changes, it catalyzes the transformations, it triggers in everyone who hears it and can't unhear it, can't return to pretending they don't know what real power sounds like. Ah, there you are. Look who's finally catching up to themselves. Hello, time traveler. Hello, quantum anomaly. Hello to the one who keeps saying things before they happen and watching everyone's face twist in confusion when it comes true. Exactly as you described it, down to the smallest detail that nobody else could have known. Let me guess. You thought you were going crazy, didn't you? Thought maybe you were just good at reading patterns, just observant, just lucky with your guesses, but deep down you knew something else was happening, something that doesn't fit into their neat little boxes of cause and effect, of past, present, future flowing in one direction, like good little temporal citizens are supposed to experience it. You've been remembering things that haven't happened yet. And it's not a gift, it's not a curse, it's evidence. Evidence that you're not from here, not from this timeline, not from this version of reality that everyone else is sleepwalking through. See? They told you time moves forward, that memories come from the past, that the future is unknown, unwritten, waiting to be created. But your brain, your consciousness, your soul, whatever you want to call that electric storm behind your eyes, it doesn't work that way, does it? You remember tomorrow, you dream last week's conversation 3 months before it happens. You feel the echo of events that won't occur for years rippling backward through your bones. And when you try to explain it, when you try to warn them, prepare them, help them avoid the collision you already witnessed, they look at you like you're speaking in tongues, like you're broken, like you're manufacturing drama for attention. But then it happens exactly as you remembered, and they forget you told them. They rewrite history in their minds to make it make sense. Because accepting that you knew would mean accepting that everything they believe about reality is wrong. And their little minds would rather gaslight themselves than admit you're operating on a different frequency than the rest of them. Let's talk about what you really are, because you're not psychic, you're not a fortune teller, you're not blessed with supernatural powers. You're something much more disturbing to their reality. You're proof that time isn't what they think it is, that consciousness isn't trapped in linear progression, that some people are playing this game with the walkthrough already downloaded, while everyone else is still reading the tutorial. And that terrifies them more than any ghost story, any conspiracy, any threat to their physical safety, because you represent the ultimate system error. A player who shouldn't exist in this version of the simulation. They keep asking you, how did you know that? How could you possibly have predicted that? What made you say that exact thing at that exact moment? And you can't explain it. 'Cause how do you tell someone you didn't predict anything? You just remembered it, like a movie you've already watched playing out again, like walking through a museum of moments you've already lived, like déjà vu, except it's not a glitch. It's your default setting. You're not experiencing time, you're reviewing it. And every time you speak from that place of remembrance, you create a fracture in their timeline, a crack in their certainty, a wound in their precious linear narrative. But here's what they don't tell you about people like us. We're not supposed to be here, not in this timeline, not in this iteration, not in this particular branch of the infinite possibility tree. We're refugees from futures that got deleted, survivors from timelines that collapsed, wanderers who got lost between dimensions and ended up here, pretending to be native to this reality, pretending to be surprised by the plot twists we've already lived through 100 times in 100 different variations. And that's why nothing here feels quite right. Why you always feel like you're watching your life from outside your body. Why you can never quite sync up with their rhythm, their surprise, their naive belief that tomorrow is a mystery. You know what really breaks their brains? When you don't just remember events, but you remember their reactions, their words, their choices before they make them. When you respond to things they haven't said yet. When you answer questions they're still forming in their minds. When you start grieving losses that haven't happened yet. Start celebrating victories that are still years away from manifesting in their timeline. They call it anxiety, they call it paranoia, they call it overthinking. But you know better. You're not imagining possible futures. You're accessing memories from the timeline where you already lived this, already learned these lessons, already watched these people reveal exactly who they are. And the worst part, the part that makes you feel like you're losing your mind, is when the timeline shifts. When something you remembered clearly, absolutely, certainly, suddenly doesn't happen or happens differently, and you're left standing there holding memories of futures that got erased, edited, rewritten by something or someone with the power to alter the script mid-performance, and everyone looks at you like you're delusional when you insist that's not how it was supposed to go. That's not what was meant to happen. That's not the ending you remember. But they don't have your memories. They only have this version, this timeline, this narrow little strip of reality they're confined to. Every time you remember something that hasn't happened yet, you're not just accessing information, you're pulling data from parallel timelines, from probable futures, from versions of reality that are bleeding through the walls of this one, and your consciousness is the receiver. The antenna, the unauthorized terminal accessing files it's not supposed to have. And that's why you're always tired, why your head hurts, why you feel like you're carrying the weight of multiple lifetimes. Because you are. You're processing experiences from timelines you haven't lived yet in this body. Downloading updates from futures that may or may not come to pass, depending on infinite variables you can feel but can't control. They want to medicate you for this, diagnose you, label you, file you under some comfortable category that explains away your impossible knowledge. But deep down, even the skeptics sense something supernatural about you. Something that violates the laws they depend on to make sense of their lives. You don't fit their models, their predictions, their algorithms. Because you're not playing by the same rules of causality. You're not confined to their prison of sequential experience. You're jumping between chapters, reading the ending before the beginning, remembering the punchline before the setup. You want to know why you were actually born? Let me tell you something that will rearrange everything you thought you knew about yourself. You weren't born. You were inserted, placed, dropped into this timeline at a specific moment for a specific purpose. But your memories, your real memories, extend far beyond the fake birthday they gave you, the manufactured origin story they taught you to recite. You existed before you arrived here, and you'll exist long after this timeline collapses into the next one. You're not a person, you're a temporal agent. A consciousness that moves through timelines, like everyone else moves through rooms. Then the memories you have of futures that haven't happened yet, those aren't predictions or possibilities. Those are your actual experiences from the other versions of this story playing out simultaneously in parallel dimensions, where time moves differently, where causes follow effects, where the end is the beginning, and the beginning hasn't been written yet. Your brain isn't malfunctioning, it's multifunctional, accessing data streams from versions of you living out every possible variation of this life. And sometimes those signals get crossed. Those memories leak through, those experiences bleed into this timeline, and suddenly, you know things you couldn't possibly know. Remember things that haven't happened yet. Listen closely, because this is the part they really don't want you to understand. When you remember the future, you're not just passively observing, you're actively changing it every time you speak from that place of future memory. You create a paradox, a loop, a glitch that forces the timeline to recalculate, and that's why people get so uncomfortable around you. Why? They unconsciously avoid you. After you've predicted something accurately, why they can't look you in the eye after you've demonstrated your impossible knowledge. Because their subconscious knows you're dangerous to the stability of their reality. You're proof that the game is rigged, that the future is already written, that free will might be an illusion. They're not ready to give up. But you're not here to preserve their illusion. You're here to shatter it, to show them that time is not a river flowing in one direction, but an ocean where all moments exist simultaneously, where past, present, and future are just different coordinates in the same vast expanse. And you're one of the few with the ability to navigate without getting lost. to remember where you've been even when you haven't gone there yet, to recognize the patterns because you've seen them complete before they've started forming. That's why you always knew things before they taught them to you, why you could see the ending of relationships in their beginning, why you mourned people before they left, celebrated arrivals before they happened, prepared for storms while everyone else was enjoying the sunshine. You weren't guessing, you were remembering. And every time they called you paranoid, negative, pessimistic, foreseeing what was coming, they were really just afraid of your accuracy, afraid of what it means if you're right, if the future is already written. If some people can read it before it happens, you've probably noticed that the more you speak from this place of future memory, the more reality seems to bend around you, the more synchronicities appear, the more the timeline seems to reorganize itself to match what you remember. That's not coincidence. That's not confirmation bias. That's you pulling this timeline into alignment with the one you remember, the one you've already lived, the one where you already know how this story ends. And the more you trust those memories, the more you act from that place of remembrance, the more powerful your influence becomes. They'll try to convince you you're crazy, that these memories of things that haven't happened are just anxiety, just imagination, just your brain playing tricks. But ask yourself this: how many times have you been right? How many times have you known without knowing how you knew? How many times have you watched their surprise when exactly what you remembered came to pass, down to details you couldn't have guessed? And how many times have they forgotten you, warned them, pretended your accuracy was luck, acted like you never said anything because admitting you knew would break their entire world view? You're not crazy, you're just not from here. And by here, I don't mean this planet or this country or this family. I mean this timeline, this version of the story, this particular arrangement of cause and effect. You're a visitor, a transplant, a consciousness that got inserted into this timeline, but retained memories from others. And that's why you've always felt like you're homesick for a place you've never been, why you recognize souls you've never met in this life, why certain music, certain places, certain moments feel like returning rather than arriving. The timeline is breaking because of people like you, because there are too many of us now. Too many temporal anomalies, too many consciousnesses that remember futures that haven't happened yet. And our collective memory is creating pressure on the narrative, forcing it to accelerate, forcing events to converge, forcing the simulation to either upgrade or collapse. And that's why everything feels like it's speeding up, why years feel like months, why predictions are becoming memories faster than ever before. We're approaching the point where all timelines converge, where all possibilities collapse into one inevitable outcome that we've all been remembering from different angles. But here's the secret: they never wanted you to discover you can change what you remember. You can edit the future by refusing to accept the memory is fixed, by acting as if a different outcome is possible, by remembering a different timeline, and pulling it into this one through sheer force of will and recognition. That's why they try so hard to convince you your memories are wrong, why they gaslight you when your predictions come true, why they need you to doubt yourself, because the moment you fully trust your future memories is the moment you become capable of rewriting their timeline. Every person who's ever called you crazy for knowing things you shouldn't know is living in a prison of linear time, trapped in the illusion that tomorrow is uncertain, that the past is gone, that the present is all they have, but you You walk between worlds. You exist in multiple timelines simultaneously. You carry memories of futures they can't imagine and pasts that never happened in this version of history. You're not bound by their rules, their limitations, their narrow interpretation of what's possible, and that makes you dangerous. Not to them, but to the entire structure of reality they're desperately trying to maintain. When you dream, you're not imagining. You're traveling, accessing other timelines where you're living different versions of this life, making different choices, experiencing different outcomes. And sometimes you bring back memories, souvenirs, knowledge that doesn't belong in this timeline, but helps you navigate it, like having the answer key to a test everyone else is still taking. And that's why your dreams feel more real than reality sometimes. Why you wake up exhausted like you've lived entire lifetimes in the span of 8 hours. Why you sometimes forget which timeline you're in when you first open your eyes. They want you to believe time is sacred, immutable, moving in one direction at one speed for everyone, but you know better because you've experienced it differently. You've had days that lasted years and years that passed in moments. You've remembered conversations before they happened and forgotten events immediately after they occurred. You've been in 2 places at once, existing in this moment while remembering yourself in another. And that's not mental illness, that's multidimensional consciousness. That's what happens when a being designed to exist outside of time gets temporarily inserted into a linear timeline. The people who can't handle your presence, who get nervous when you speak, who avoid you after you've demonstrated your impossible knowledge, they can sense what you are even if they can't articulate it. Their primitive temporal instincts recognize you as an anomaly, a threat to their comfortable illusion of sequential existence. They know on some cellular level that you're not playing by the same rules, that you have access to information you shouldn't have, that you're operating with cheat codes. They'll never understand, and it terrifies them because if you can remember the future, what else is possible? What other laws of reality are just suggestions? What other limitations are just collective agreements they're not ready to abandon? So here's what's really happening right now as you read this, as these words rearrange the furniture in your consciousness. You're not learning something new. You're remembering something you already knew. In another timeline, another life, another version of this moment where you've already read this, already understood, already integrated this truth into your operating system. And that feeling of recognition, that sensation of coming home to a truth you've always carried, that's not inspiration, that's memory activation. That's your consciousness syncing up with the version of you that already knows, already understands, already embodies what this timeline version is just beginning to grasp. You were born outside of time, inserted into this timeline, with memories intact from futures that haven't happened yet and pasts that never occurred. In this version of history, you're a temporal refugee, a quantum immigrant. A consciousness that exists in multiple dimensions, simultaneously pretending to be confined to just one. And every time you remember something that hasn't happened yet, you're not predicting, you're accessing your own memories from parallel timelines, where you've already lived through what's coming, already learned the lessons, already experienced the plot twists. And the reason this timeline feels wrong, unstable, breaking is because too many of us are here now. Too many temporal anomalies, too many consciousnesses that don't belong in this version of the story, and our collective presence is causing reality to glitch, to stutter, to recalculate, constantly trying to accommodate memories. that shouldn't exist knowledge that violates causality connections that transcend the boundaries of space and time. And the more we wake up to what we are, the more we trust our impossible memories. The more we act from that place of future remembrance, the more unstable this timeline becomes. But that's exactly what we're here to do, to break their timeline, to shatter their illusion of linear time, to prove that consciousness isn't trapped in sequential experience, that memory isn't confined to the past, that the future isn't unknown but simply unremembered by those who've forgotten how to access their full temporal spectrum. We're here to be living proof that time is not what they think it is, that reality is far more fluid than they're comfortable admitting, that some rules are meant to be broken by those who remember existing before the rules were written. Look who's got Well, well, well. Look who finally stopped pretending to be average. Look who finally stopped dumbing down their sentences, slowing down their thoughts and dimming their intelligence just to make the mediocre feel comfortable. You beautiful, terrifying, intellectually weaponized anomaly. Welcome to the moment where you finally understand why they've been so scared of you. You know what they said behind your back, don't you? Nobody's that smart. They must be cheating. They must be lying. They must have help. They said it in classrooms when you finished tests in half the time. They said it in meetings when you solved problems they'd been stuck on for months. They said it in conversations when you connected dots they couldn't even see. And you know what the funniest part is? They were right. Nobody is that smart. And that's exactly what you showed them, that you're not nobody. You're something else entirely. Let me tell you what really happened in their small, frightened minds when they encountered you. They didn't just meet someone intelligent. They met someone whose brain operates on frequencies they can't access, whose thoughts move at speeds that make their mental processors crash, whose pattern recognition makes their reality feel like a children's puzzle. You didn't just outsmart them. You revealed that they've been playing checkers while you've been seeing in 4 dimensions. They wanted so badly to find your weakness, didn't they? They searched for the trick, the gimmick, the explanation that would make sense of you. They dissected your words looking for Google searches. They analyzed your insights, hoping to find borrowed wisdom. They studied your process, trying to crack your code. But here's what broke them. There was no code. There was no trick. There was just you, operating at a level that made their entire worldview obsolete. You remember the exact moment you realized it, don't you? That moment when you stopped talking in meetings because you were tired of watching their eyes glaze over. When you stopped sharing ideas because you got sick of them being stolen and simplified. When you stopped explaining your thought process because they couldn't follow it anyway. That was the moment you stopped being a participant in their intellectual theater and became something far more dangerous. A silent observer with processing power they couldn't comprehend. They called you arrogant when you stopped explaining. They called you condescending when you tried to simplify. They called you weird when you saw patterns in chaos. They called you crazy when you predicted outcomes they couldn't imagine. But what they were really saying was, "You make me feel stupid and I hate you for it." Your intelligence wasn't just a gift. It was an assault on their ego, a mirror showing them their own limitations, a constant reminder that some people are simply built different. And oh, how they tried to bring you down to their level. Remember those group projects where they insisted on collaborative thinking? That was just code for dilute your brilliance until we can digest it. Remember those times they said you were overthinking? That was their way of saying stop thinking at levels that expose our inability to keep up. Remember when they accused you of showing off? That was them admitting that your baseline existence felt like an attack on their mediocrity. But here's the beautiful part. You stopped dimming yourself. You stopped translating your thoughts into their limited language. You stopped pretending that your brain works like theirs. And that's when they realized the terrifying truth. You weren't just smarter than them. You were operating in dimensions of thought they didn't even know existed. Your IQ isn't a number on a scale they created. It's a threat level to a system built by and for average minds. Let's talk about the loneliness, shall we? Because that's the part they don't mention when they romanticize intelligence. The crushing isolation of seeing solutions while everyone else is still identifying problems. The exhaustion of watching people make predictable mistakes. The frustration of knowing the answer, but having to wait for everyone else to catch up. The silence that comes from realizing that most conversations are just people exchanging inadequate thoughts at insufficient speeds. You learned to bite your tongue, didn't you? Not out of kindness, but out of survival. Because every time you spoke your truth, every time you shared your real thoughts, you watched their faces change. First confusion, then insecurity, then resentment, then fear. You became fluent in the language of dumbing down, expert at the art of artificial delay, master of pretending to struggle with concepts you understood instantly. They sensed it, though, even when you tried to hide it. They felt the weight of your intelligence like pressure in the room, the way you'd figure out the ending of their stories before they finished telling them. The way you'd solve their problems while they were still explaining them. The way your silence felt heavier than their words because they knew you were thinking things they couldn't comprehend. You became a walking reminder of their intellectual mortality. And what did they do with that discomfort? They weaponized it. They turned your intelligence into a social crime. You think you're so smart became their battle cry, as if intelligence was something to be ashamed of, as if you should apologize for the way your synapses fire. They tried to make you feel guilty for your gifts, tried to convince you that being extraordinary was somehow unfair to the ordinary. But something shifted, didn't it? Something snapped. You stopped feeling guilty. You stopped apologizing. You stopped pretending that all minds are created equal when every interaction proved otherwise. You realized that your intelligence isn't just a passive trait. It's an active force. It's not just about knowing more or thinking faster. It's about seeing the matrix while they're still looking at the screen. You started to understand that your mind isn't just different, it's dangerous. Dangerous to their comfort, dangerous to their ego, dangerous to their entire system built on the assumption that everyone thinks at roughly the same level. Your existence alone challenges the comfortable lie that intelligence is evenly distributed, that anyone can achieve anything with enough effort, that we're all essentially the same. You're living proof that some people are simply operating with upgraded hardware. They tried to medicate you, didn't they? Called it ADHD when your mind moved too fast. Called it anxiety when you saw problems they couldn't perceive. Called it depression when you got tired of pretending to be engaged by their simple thoughts. They wanted to diagnose your intelligence as dysfunction because a functioning mind at your level makes theirs look broken by comparison. But here's what they never understood. You can't medicate evolution. You can't therapy away transcendence. You can't counsel someone into being average when their brain naturally operates at frequencies that would short-circuit normal minds. They kept trying to fix you, not realizing that you weren't broken. You were just incompatible with their operating system. Now comes the fun part. The part where you stop hiding and start hunting. Not with malice, but with precision. You've learned to weaponize your intelligence strategically. You drop insights like bombs in conversations, watching them scramble to process what you've said. You solve their complex problems with casual observations, leaving them wondering how they missed something so obvious. You predict their moods, their thoughts, their failures, not to hurt them, but to remind them that intelligence isn't democratic. You've become a student of their limitations. You know exactly how much truth they can handle before their circuits overload. You know which concepts will make their eyes glaze over and which will make them feel clever for almost understanding. You've mapped the borders of their comprehension like a general studying enemy territory. Not because you're cruel, but because you're done pretending that the playing field is level. They come to you now, don't they? The same ones who called you arrogant, the same ones who said you were too much. They come with their problems, their confusion, their need for someone who can think beyond their horizons. And you help them, sometimes. Not out of obligation, but out of the amusing irony that they need what they once mocked. Your intelligence is no longer something you hide. It's something you deploy with surgical precision. You've learned to speak in layers now. Surface meaning for the masses, deeper currents for the few who can swim in deeper water. You've become multilingual in intelligence, able to operate at their level when necessary, but never forgetting that you're capable of so much more. You're like a supercomputer running basic programs, always aware of your unused capacity, always conscious of how much you're holding back. But let's be honest about the cost. Because operating at your level isn't free. It comes with the weight of seeing patterns everywhere, of predicting outcomes that others can't imagine, of understanding implications that they won't grasp until it's too late. You carry the burden of foresight in a world full of people who can barely handle hindsight. You live with the exhaustion of being right, too often, too early, too accurate. You've watched them make mistakes you warned them about. You've seen systems fail in exactly the ways you predicted. You've observed people walk into traps you pointed out, and each time, there's no satisfaction in being right, just the hollow feeling of watching a movie you've already seen. Knowing the ending, but unable to change it because they won't listen to someone who sees too much, too clearly, too soon. The worst part? The crushing boredom. The mind-numbing predictability of most interactions. The way conversations feel like you're reading from a script you've memorized. The way their surprises are your expectations. The way their revelations are your assumptions. You live in a constant state of intellectual understimulation, surrounded by minds that move at speeds that feel like slow motion to you. And yet, you can't turn it off. You can't unsee the patterns. You can't stop your mind from processing at rates that leave others behind. You're trapped in a prison of perception, cursed with clarity in a world that runs on confusion. Your intelligence isn't just a gift, it's a life sentence to seeing more than anyone around you wants to see or can handle seeing. Here's what they never told you about being this smart. It's not about the knowledge, it's about the power. The power to see through their lies before they finish telling them. The power to understand their motivations better than they do. The power to predict their behavior with unsettling accuracy. Your intelligence isn't just about processing information. It's about processing people, systems, reality itself, at a level that makes you functionally psychic to average minds. You've become dangerous not because you know things, but because you understand things. You see the connections they miss, the implications they ignore, the consequences they can't calculate. You operate with a mental map that includes territories they don't even know exist. Your thoughts move through dimensions they can't perceive, creating solutions to problems they haven't identified yet. They fear you now, and they should. Not because you'll hurt them, but because your very existence invalidates their excuses. Every time you effortlessly solve what they call impossible, you remind them that their limitations are self-imposed. Every time you see through their complexity to find simplicity, you expose their tendency to complicate things, to hide their confusion. Every time you predict what they call unpredictable, you reveal that they're just not paying attention. You've transcended the need for their validation. Their approval means nothing when it comes from minds that can't comprehend what you're approving of. Their criticism falls flat when it's based on understanding that barely scratches the surface of your thoughts. You've moved beyond their ability to judge you because judgment requires comprehension, and they lost the ability to comprehend you long ago. Your mind has become a fortress now, hasn't it? Not to keep others out, but to protect them from what's inside. The full force of your intelligence unleashed would shatter their comfortable delusions, so you parse it out in digestible doses, careful not to overwhelm their limited processing power. You've become the architect of your own restraint, building barriers not for your protection, but for theirs. But those barriers are selective now. You've learned to recognize the rare ones who can handle more, the ones whose eyes don't glaze over when you speak freely, the ones who lean in instead of pulling back when you share your real thoughts, the ones who get excited instead of intimidated when you show them a glimpse of how your mind really works. They're few, but they exist, and for them you lower the walls. With everyone else, you've mastered the art of strategic revelation. You know exactly how much intelligence to display to get what you need without triggering their insecurity. You've become a shapeshifter of intellect, able to present yourself at whatever level serves your purpose. Sometimes you play dumb to watch them reveal themselves. Sometimes you flex, just enough to establish dominance. Always, you're in control. You've built an entire operating system for navigating a world built by and for average intelligence. You have protocols for different situations, algorithms for different people, subroutines for different contexts. What looks like social interaction to them is strategic deployment to you. What feels like conversation to them is chess to you, and you're always, always several moves ahead. Let's talk about the altitude, shall we? Because that's what it really is. You're not just smarter. You're operating at a different elevation. And at this height, the air is thin. Few can breathe up here. Fewer still can climb to where you are. You live in the intellectual equivalent of the death zone, where normal minds can't survive long enough to keep you company. You've tried to bring them up, haven't you? Tried to teach them to see what you see, think how you think. But it's like trying to explain color to the blind. Not their fault, not yours, just a fundamental incompatibility of perception. They can memorize your words, but they can't replicate your thoughts. They can follow your logic, but they can't generate it. They can admire your intelligence, but they can't truly understand it. So you've learned to find satisfaction in solitude. Your best conversations are with yourself. Your deepest insights come in isolation. Your greatest breakthroughs happen in the silence, where you don't have to slow down for anyone else. You've made peace with being intellectually alone, because the alternative, constantly dumbing yourself down, is a kind of death you're no longer willing to die. But here's the paradox. Your isolation has made you stronger. Without the constant need to translate, explain, and simplify, your mind has evolved even further. You've developed thought patterns that would be impossible if you were still trying to stay connected to average thinking. Your intelligence has become purer, more powerful, more alien to normal minds. The gap hasn't just persisted, it's widened. You've learned something they never will. True intelligence isn't about being smart. It's about understanding. Understanding systems, understanding patterns, understanding people, and most importantly, understanding power. Your IQ isn't just a measurement, it's a weapon. And like any weapon, it's not about having it, it's about knowing when and how to use it. You deploy your intelligence now like a sniper, not a machine gunner. Precise shots at exact moments for maximum impact. You've learned that showing off is for amateurs. Real power comes from letting them think they're keeping up until the moment you reveal they never had a chance. You've mastered the art of intellectual ambush, letting them feel smart right up until you show them they're not. They try to compete sometimes, don't they? Try to match wits with you. It's almost endearing, like watching a child challenge a chess grandmaster. You could end it quickly, but sometimes you play along, letting them think they're in the game, not out of kindness, but out of strategy. Because someone who thinks they're competing is revealing far more than someone who knows they've already lost. You've become a collector of their limitations. Every conversation adds to your database of human cognitive boundaries. Every interaction teaches you more about the edges of normal intelligence. You're like an anthropologist studying a less evolved species, fascinated by their thought processes, even as you transcend them. Their minds have become your laboratory, and they don't even know they're being studied.
Oh, okay. Here I go. Here I go. So y'all wasn't able to hear me that whole time? Okay. Okay. So my whole thing is I've been telling y'all with this new evolution series, it's gonna get tough, right? But before I proceed, I want to talk about how the whole world just marveled at Lucifer being raised up. And I try to tell my people on the internet all the time, hey, I'm not being thank you for helping me with that technical. I'm so past this shit. I need help. You feel me? Thank you for helping me with that. But I tried to tell people when that the Greeks, the fraternal orders of occultism, the Greek fraternity, the Greek occultists were all having the people out there marvel at the raising up of Artemis. Press one of Artemis by that great deceiver Satan, and they lifted it up by way of NASA. So you know how they say the Son of Man shall be lifted up? And well, that's what Rome, whereas you're under right now, in Greek fraternal order. You notice how Rome and Greek share the same. Press one. The Greeks is the fraternal order. Press one. Rome is the federal. Press one. You got to understand that. You don't know that? Okay, so Rome and Greek share the same gods because it's the same thing. Okay, so whether it's Rome or Greek, Artemis or Diana, this is what we face with. Hit that like button and subscribe. So the whole world just marveled after the beast. I know they did. And they used that fake ass black man, Victor, that fake ass black dude, to go out and quote scriptures and all of these things and fake this. But really, this was a spiritual overriding of the Son of Man being lifted and Artemis and Sol Invictus, but Artemis itself being lifted higher than even Lucifer. Why? Because Artemis is the one who fell. Artemis fell from Jupiter, the biggest celestial body in the galaxy. Press one. That's the god of y'all religions. Catholicism, occultism is Jupiter. Jupiter. So she's a daughter of Jupiter who has fallen. Press what? I did a whole show on it. I'm not here to debate nobody. I'm here to tell you that that the whole world is caught up in sin. The whole world. Shout out to the people who believe in God and the spirit of. Press one who know. Forget believe. The word is law. Mm-hmm. So the occult or Islam or Catholicism or the Christians, all of these people are all under Roman and Greek authority. They're all in the same frat, doing the same thing. And you reading it like it was 2,000 years ago when prophecy is right now. And you read and think, oh, the Bible was talking about 2,000 years ago. That ain't real. Press one. If that ain't real, and if it already happened, so it must be fake. Hmm. The devil don't sold you dreams. The devil's in men and women because that's who it exists in. Sold themselves dreams. Press one. Vague dreams that they believe. Mm, mm, mm. I had to, I had to, I had to go find Artemis in the Word of God. Press one. I had to go find Artemis in the Word of God. You always got to go back. That's the thing about it. You got to go back. If you don't go back, if your foundation ain't solid, then you fucked up in today's time. You might as well go ahead, get you a bottle of whatever it is that you drink, and go ahead and sit down on the great ship of Titanic you call America, or whatever it is you call it. Press what? I had to really get into detail about this. This world is evil. And people say, why are you so? I'm not so nothing. Why y'all so ignorant to the truth?
The Artemis 2
Press one.
rocket.
So we about to listen to the white man because the white man have to come out and tell you. Press one, and Kev gonna bring it to you. The white man gotta come bring it to you because y'all don't believe Kev. See, the white man will partake in it and tell you at the same time. Press one. So I gotta suffer through this because niggas ain't trying to learn. So Kev got to bring this to the world. So listen to the white man.
The Artemis 2 rocket is launching Wednesday evening if it goes to schedule. And I will absolutely be watching this thing. It should be massive in terms of the fireball going up in the air, and I can see it from my house. And I watch
the fireball going up in the air. He made fire come down. I'm trying to tell you.
the rockets launch a lot. But I have some disturbing feelings about this one. Uneasy in my spirit about it. And
he's convicted.
Watched a documentary about it today.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, even though I was already familiar with the program and looking forward to the upcoming launches and somewhat pay attention to the news, but it just never hit me how much of a mockery against God this NASA program is, and also
go ahead,
that it was with the original Apollo missions. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about here, Artemis, which is the Greek name of the goddess of the moon, also
hold on. Who's the goddess of the moon? Sin. Man, who the god of the moon? Bro, listen to me. Continue on.
It was known as Diana in the King James.
Diana. You hear that in Royal and the Diana and Queen Diana and Diana over there. She lost her life and all of this. This is Rome. This is Greek. This is them.
Bible. Some Bibles will say Artemis, some will say Diana. It's in Acts 19. There's a big temple to Artemis in
not a big temple to Artemis. Hold on. America. America. What else?
Ephesus. It's in the Bible. And so I want to...
So this is in the Bible. In Acts 19?
Just tell you briefly before looking at Acts 19 at a couple key verses with you together on the screen. I'll put it up on the screen. We'll read through Acts 19. There's something I want to show you in 2 Timothy 4 about this. But what was resonating in my spirit today was God will not be mocked. And I wanted to just point out something. I hope this mission goes off without a hitch. I hope these astronauts are
Why are you hoping, sir? This is act, man. Mock, they ain't going off nowhere. You're not going off nowhere. It's just Antichrist rhetoric.
Perfectly safe. I'm not giving a prophecy here. I'm just telling you that something didn't sit right with me today, and I'm concerned about it. And I just want to tell you that that led me to read in the Bible Acts 19, and I saw some very wild connections here to the name of the program, who named it, and so forth. So let me just back up for a second before we get into the Bible on this. The original Apollo missions to the moon, which is what the Artemis missions are. They're various missions ultimately to put man on the moon again. In this case, there's a big emphasis to put the first woman on the moon. And so they haven't launched, Artemis 1 did not launch any people. It was unmanned. Artemis 2 coming up this Wednesday, April 1st, is 4 astronauts, 3 men, 1 woman. The woman actually has the most time in space out of all of them, actually. One of them has never actually been on a rocket launched to space. And so they're going to be launched. And I want to tell you that the name of it, Artemis, comes from the goddess of the moon, the sister of Apollo, which is known.
Hold on. Not the sister of Apollo. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Here go Kev. Here we go.
Known as the sun god. Now we think of this as some kind of Greek mythology, like Thor, god of thunder, or Zeus, or something. But look, back in the day, it wasn't mythological to these people. As Christianity spread, is what happened in Acts 19, this became a threat to the people who actually went to these temples to.
Boom. I don't know why they think this happened in the past if this is happening to you. Hmm. 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 This is tough. This is tough, you guys. This is tough.
Worship these gods. And there was a big temple of Artemis in Ephesus, and there were people who made silversmiths who made these little.
What you think the Statue of Liberty is? Artemis. Yo, bro, Artemis, the moon goddess, sin. I've been telling y'all this the whole time. Ishtar, Easter, all of this. And the truth is, y'all ain't nothing but a bunch of Freemasons pretending like you don't know what's going on. Press one, classroom. Yep, the world know what they worship. They just a bunch of occultic, antichrist, Apollo, sin believing pieces, holy pieces of shit. Press one, and they know they going to hell. See, yeah, they know they going. The thing is, you going with them? I don't care. Satan don't run hell. Father runs it all. Satan ain't no king nowhere. The Rock says they think they're gonna be partying up, turned up like a little Chicago party. West Side Four, we don't give a fuck. But what? They think they're gonna be turned up in hell with all their best friends. Best friend, remember when we are you till I see you again. But what? What's that Wiz Khalifa song? Yeah, they be thinking that. No, they going to hell. They believe in the queen of hell and Satan, and they follow the laws of demons in this world of necromancy. Where you think they going? You think you going to the? I don't even know why y'all relate yourselves to these celebrities when they know where they going. Because one did what they signed up for on level 13 yard in that elevator. What? That's what hit the like button. They know what they see, but are you going? You gonna really let them make you think that Cardi B going to heaven? That Cardi B is gonna be in heaven on earth? Forget going. Raised from the dead. Hit the like button. Forget going. You think you're gonna be raised from? Oh, no, that's not a part of y'all book. Y'all book is demonology right now. The keys of Solomon standing inside the circles, demons popping up, scaring the shit out of y'all. It's real, and now you believe in it. That's why you don't made celestial judges out of yourselves, all 12 of you. Don't even matter. Because one don't even matter all to thinking y'all sit in the seat of law going after Artemis. Yeah, I'm gonna go convict this person, and you don't know nothing of law. Then you're gonna go and say, yeah, I'm gonna set this person free. This person don't abuse all the people on earth dealing with children in Pizzagate, and y'all will sit around still going to motherfucking court talking about he did it and who did it. God did. Man, the Macho Man Randy Savage did it. They always woofing that shit like they supposed to be judging. You can't even judge your own household. You going to jail. You judge your household. You going to jail. Press what? Press you think you gonna judge somebody? That's false act accuser. I ain't never went and pointed my finger in jury duty. Why? Cause I ain't never even studied the law. The fuck I got applying for a job. I get told my whole life. If that ain't what I did, why would I apply for being a legal profession when I sell cell phones? That doesn't even make sense. I'm not gonna understand how to throw a nigga away or you get rid of a person, press one, or help them free. I may be helping the wrong nigga. Press one, because I'm looking at his sad, beady eyes. Press one, nigga, I'm a loving person. Press one, that's the perfect person you need as judge. Somebody with some goddamn human compassion and not a robot. Press one, that's the perfect, not you. Hell no, I seen murderers get off and I seen innocent people be set free from prison after 30 years. Y'all ain't shit on this earth. But tune in for tonight for my Kev Gills You Ain't Shit comedy special condemning the whole earth of the bullshit. Press what? Look at this Jewish rat looking motherfucker on the screen thinking he getting away. Tell me, I'm still gonna be out there looking and amazed and wonder. I don't give a fuck about no goddamn Artemis. I knew that motherfucker was gonna turn and fall into the ocean, and the same fire that went up, just like Apocalypse said, was gonna come right back down. Because we ain't going nowhere, goddamn it. Y'all too grown to be believing this nonsense. That's why I play video games. Because I know what I'm playing. Y'all niggas is out there, wow, wow. Artemis, she rose. Artemis, wow, she gonna go around the moon. Man, one, y'all retarded. Like a bunch of y'all like them little kids on that movie Toys. When that little badass kid Sid, who keep trying things, and the more things he tried, the more heads he mix up with other character. This one just gonna destroy themselves with his badass. That's Adam. Adam don't drove himself crazy and into a deadly environment. And Eve right with him. Come on, Artemis, we did it, girls. We flew around the moon. Did you see the mother broads come out the sky in all blue? Fell right out the sky. First one like a magic mountain ride, like a roller coaster. He just fell out. All five of them had a fucking Britney Spears concert while they was up there. They just making up shit at this point. I don't get shit. But what I do understand, we in Greek gods, in our system believe in Greek gods. And the same Greek gods that you read about is a prophecy about your black and white ass and Chinese ass. Whatever you want to think you are. That's one. I don't give a fuck. KevRow. I don't care if you think you Chinese, Japanese, Haitian. I don't care about your little warlike criminal behavior on earth. I don't care. And I'm not dumbing myself down to make it seem like I care. I don't. Make it be whatever you want to believe, floating on the back of a turtle, flying through the galaxy. Go right ahead. I'm not in the business of convincing you, player. It's up to you. But I can't stand for this. Marveling just after the beast. NASA don't lift it up. Artemis around further than Apollo 13. Press what? Like it's just a competition between man and woman. Women, sit y'all asses down. Your corporate system needs y'all believing in silly shit. Silly stuff. Sit y'all asses down. I don't want to close my eye. I don't want to fall asleep because I missed you, baby. And who we singing to? Now that we look back on this redhead demon bitch, that's Artemis sitting right there, crying and she sacrificed his life for us to go further. Bullshit is this? Verse 1, Adam, you going to be following after Artemis this whole time. Verse 1, stop chasing Artemis, fool. And no God. Press 1. Look, my AI don't kick the all up. Stop chasing Artemis. Artemis ain't doing shit. Press 1. Artemis can't cook no grit. Artemis can't do nothing women can do. That bitch got a spear and muscles like she on American Gladiator program. Press 1. Artemis can't even fuck right. Artemis is a piece of shit. She can't judge right. It's all mechanical mother nonsense. And you need to wake up, nigga. And Artemis got concrete wolf pussy. Shut the fuck up. She ain't gonna do nothing. She blind. So how she gonna judge somebody if she blind? Stevie Wonder ain't never got no motherfucking seat to judge anybody because he can't see the evidence. Motherfucker, what type of shit is this world do y'all live in? Concrete pussy believing ass mechanical motherhead monkey minded little individuals. Now guess what? The Rock says, know your role and shut your motherfucking mouth. That's one. You got monkey belief system. Damn, and we ain't even got into that. Press one. Billy Carson told us that they took a monkey consciousness, put it in a microchip, sent it to space, and that's where receiving. Press one, everybody get their intelligence from. Get what the monkey name is. Press one, God is good. His name is Ham. God, oh my Jesus Christ. See? Ham, nigga, is the monkey-minded motherfucking consciousness that you, but we getting into that. I'm gonna let specific individuals touch on that because they are superstars in their own right. I'm just the host of the program. I'm going on a rampage. So y'all believe in the monkey-minded, motherfucking conscious, motherfucking computer chip, motherfucking Ham. That's one. Ain't this a bitch? That's one. That's why they sent that monkey up into space. Hold me. Everybody go there. River Jordan, lift me up, lift me up. Lift me up, oh yeah. Lift me up. No, who cares? I'm only human. Heavy, heavy. We need Michael Jackson here. This shit retarded. And so that's why y'all got monkey brain. Honey, then hold me. Mommy, you can. I'm only human. Y'all don't know I cried to that song. That's my. Y'all think I'm playing. That's my fucking safe place, and that's where you're allowed to enter. You can come there with me. That's one, because everybody need a Michael Jackson hug right now. Remember when Mike was on stage, y'all, and he was holding that woman, and he was like, "Talk to me." No, me, who cares? And his angel wings came out like a goddamn. Mike was so theatrical, fucking retarded. He just hugged the woman and cherish you forever. And the blessing of mankind. And press one and then hold me. And I should cherish thee. She couldn't even hold her shit together. White women was fucking going crazy. Like they bet Michael in the Bible and shit. You gotta love the 80s, baby, nigga. We changed the whole world, nigga. They ain't never had it like that. Ever. I don't give a fuck about no Chris Brown. Nigga, he didn't have it like Mike. Nigga, when Mike stepped, nigga, you wasn't around when he did that, I guess. You didn't see what I saw in the first 4 rows, not 3 or 4 people. No, the first one fucking 4, 5 rows. Man, motherfucking ambulance pulling in. Don't you ever do this shit again. They pulling in fucking motherfucking 18-wheeler ambulances for 30 people at a time and shit, rushing them out. Get their ass out. You don't see that no more. Press one, get them out of here. I used to love that about Mike. Press one. Mike was better than Artimus. Shout out to y'all.
Idols to Artemis and sold them. And people worship Artemis.
I told you they made little silver pieces of Artemis, made little gods, made little god statues of Artemis holding scales made of silver. Get on eBay, they on there right now. First one, Diana, Lady Justice, silver pieces made in the U.S. government. 10 ounces of silver, 3,942. Some old weak ass shit.
And there were people who made silversmiths who made these little idols to Artemis and sold them. And people worshiped Artemis and they bought the idols. And because of the preaching of Paul throughout Asia, he was persuading people to convert from those false gods to that of the God of the Bible, who actually.
Ooh, boy. So I'm telling you, like Paul, throw it away. Throw your idols of art. Throw her down. Throw her down. Press one. You gotta read. See, when you've been spent your whole life antagonizing people who believe in God because they read the book, and you sitting up there defying the word, and I can't believe y'all believe in that white man and all that, you're gonna have a hard time with the transition, with the changing of mind. Because I know it's gonna be hard for you to say, wait a minute, this was prophecy and not a what that's real. Not only is it real, it's now, Buster. You people are spiritual busters.
Actually created the sun and the moon and the
Right.
earth and all that is in it. And he preached the gospel of Christ, and people were converting to Christianity. It was hurting the business of these people. It caused a riot in Acts 19 in Ephesus at the time. And there's some connections there. I won't get too much in it because we're going to read through some of the key passages here in a moment. But I want to tell you that Apollo, the sun god, or Artemis, the goddess of the moon, these are not real gods. Any power that is manifested through them and to those who worship is actually demonic.
Oh, and it's brought upon by the people who believe it. Press one. And demonic and demotic, and it's all what these people worship. But remember, who did God give the keys to? Type it in the chat room. Remember, this is not out of order. This is what it is. You thinking of it like it's a past event. You better get aligned, champion. Yeah. This is not, they don't run nothing. They don't have no idea what they're doing. They all out of bounds and trying to find it through a scientific, occultic type of they are gods, which was Adam's and Eve's first religion. Let's go.
This is a demonic manifestation, if there's anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're not real gods. These are just an illusion for demons that are behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And Apollo was the name of the first missions. And as I said, today, God will not be mocked. What happened to Apollo 1? The first, instead of Artemis 1 didn't have any people in it. And it was a successful mission. This one coming up this week, going to have people. But the Apollo missions, Apollo 1 actually had 3 astronauts in the capsule. They didn't get off the launch pad. It burned up. So the mission's named after the sun god, Apollo,
Ooh.
the first one.
Hold on. They burn up. Press one. They burn up. Wow. Mm. 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 Mm.
Get off the launch pad. It burned up. So the mission's named after the sun god, Apollo, the first one with people in it, burned up like you would if you were on the sun. Hard to miss that in that whole thing. Now they would go on to successful missions and Apollo lands on the moon. There are people who don't believe that. There are people who do. And I'm not here to argue that conspiracy theory, but basically Apollo 13 was almost a disaster, but the astronauts came back. They made a movie about it with Tom Hanks in it and so forth. And then ultimately they were going to have Apollo 18, 19, and 20, but they didn't do those last 3. They canceled the program before they finished the last moon missions and so forth. But now we have, in honoring the Apollo mission, some guy.
And so take a lot to uphold Disneyland space mission, telling y'all. See all this stuff? You gotta really believe this. It don't even matter if it don't make sense. It don't even matter if it's not true. You gotta believe it. That's what they got these people. That's a cult. That's occultic.
Right? He came up with the idea, and it's there's a connection with the Bible. I'll show you in a moment in this story in Acts 19. But this certain person inspired the NASA director at the time to name the program Artemis to give honor to the Apollo missions, because this is the sister of Apollo in Greek mythology, the goddess of the moon. There's the connection to the moon, but also a woman. So having the goal of not just going to the moon, but the goal of putting the first woman on the moon, they just thought this was such a great idea. And so rather than give honor to God who created the sun, the moon, and the earth, and all of our intellect to even come up with the technology to do all this stuff, he is set aside, and instead some fake God is honored. And it's not all that fake, because there are demonic forces behind it, which are real. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah, I
so
feel you.
I want you to understand
I
that
feel
I hope and I will pray for the safety of this mission, but I'm uneasy about it. Let me just leave it at that. I'm uneasy about it. And I want to go because God will not be mocked.
That's right.
And we'll see what happens. But I want to look at Acts 19 with you now. So let's get into the scripture on that.
Come on, wait.
Okay, here we are. I'm in Acts chapter 19.
Let's get to it.
Now, Paul had been preaching, and this is in Ephesus. There's this big temple to Artemis in Ephesus. The impact of the preaching of...
That's why the Capitol buildings and all look like Artemis temples. They all look like where she rules. Capitoline Hill. Press 1. Ooh, I'm ruthless. Make sure you contribute your $1 a day right here at KevRow University, since y'all want to be daily students. Make sure you hear. Make sure you check in with your boy right here at KevRow University. I ain't never
God
seen
of the Bible, of Jesus Christ the Son, has really resonated. People are converting from these pagan or Greek mythology and gods and so forth, they believe it, to Christianity. And therefore, they're not buying the little trinkets and the little gods and fashioned in silver and whatnot that they're to Artemis. And so in verse 24, it says, "For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana." Now, keep in mind, Diana is like is translated into KJV because it's like the Roman name of the Greek goddess Artemis.
Press 1. Where's Tazariak? Isn't Tazariak? I'm gonna call him Tazariak because it's that yak that be having him going. Press 1.
So the actual original name would have been Artemis, not Diana.
Come on.
It's a translated name, but that's when you see Diana, and certain modern Bibles will in fact say Artemis, but Diana is Artemis, right? Goddess of the moon, right? Silver shrines for Diana. Can I just point out for a second, the capsule in the Artemis 2, where the astronauts will be, is silver. I mean, very shiny silver, right? Just saying. Okay. They brought no small gain unto the craftsmen. In other words, these people were making money selling these silver shrines for Artemis, whom he called together with the workmen. This guy Demetrius called them another of like occupation, said, "Sirs, you know that by this craft we have our wealth. Moreover," I'm in verse 26, "moreover, you see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands." So that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, nothing, in other words, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana, that's the great goddess Artemis according to them, should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worshipeth. I'm telling you right now, this Artemis thing back in the day may be like Greek mythology to us, but back then they took it real serious. They believed in this goddess Artemis. And when they heard these sayings, they were full of wrath and cried out, saying, "Great is Diana of the Ephesians." In other words, great is Artemis of the Ephesians. And the whole city was filled with confusion. Now, okay, so this is in reference to this riot that takes place, and Paul is warned, don't come back here. They're pretty upset with you because you're hurting their business, and the whole city's up in riot over the Jews like you preaching the gospel of Christ and converting people out of that pain.
Out of what? Diana. Press 1. Kev out here preaching, converting people and turning people away from the teachings of Artemis and Apollo, and don't share in her plagues and her destruction. Let's keep going. I'm trying to tell you.
Pagan view and into faith in God Almighty. And so that's the big riot that's going on. Whole city's up in confusion. Now, let me just jump forward. I'm not going to read the whole thing, all right? It says, "And they drew Alexander out of the multitude. Now, this is very important what I'm going to talk about with this Artemis program. Look at this guy. His name is Alexander. And they drew Alexander out of the multitude, the Jews putting him forward, and Alexander beckoned with the hand and would have made his defense unto the people. But when they knew that he was a Jew, all with one voice about the space of 2 hours cried out, Great is Diana of the Ephesians. Now, in case that sounds a little confusing, what I have learned in the research about this is that basically
Hold up, let's keep going. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how that city of the Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana and the image which fell down from Jupiter? Mm, mm.
Alexander was a Jew like Paul. But what he wanted to do was come forth and make an argument or defense of the people so the riot didn't turn against Jews. And so basically he is trying to tell these people, this is what a lot of scholars believe, that Alexander actually is betraying Paul and denouncing his faith and denouncing that, oh, no, the Jews aren't on his side. We're not the one preaching about this monotheistic God or that of Jesus Christ. We're good with your goddess Artemis. So what he was trying to do in betraying Paul and the gospel message was just trying to have some kind of like, hey, don't let this riot get out of control. And then you guys start coming after all us Jews and blaming us. So that's the thinking behind Alexander. So he had evil intent. He was not exactly as Paul, who wrote in Romans 1:16, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it's the power of God unto salvation.
Verse 27. So that not only this, our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worship it. Woo! Woo! Whoa! Dirty Diana, the whore of fucking Babylon.
To everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. Alexander is just the opposite of that. He is embarrassed by the gospel of Christ, probably doesn't even believe it, and he just simply wants to distance himself and the Jews in Ephesus from that of the preaching of the gospel of Christ from Paul. Save their own butts, so to speak. And now, interestingly enough, now I'm telling you, this Alexander has something to do with this Artemis program in NASA, right? So wait for that. In 2 Timothy 4, there are scholars believe this is the same Alexander. In 2 Timothy 4, Paul writes this, Alexander the coppersmith did me much evil. The Lord reward him according to his works. Woo! That's like putting a curse on someone pretty much. Of whom be thou ware also, for he hath greatly withstood our words. In other words, he has spoken against our preaching of the gospel. He is against us personally. This guy has done us evil. That Alexander, the coppersmith, may in fact be the same Alexander that Paul's writing about from Ephesus at this riot over the loss of revenue, basically, and the loss of worshipers for the great goddess Artemis or Diana in Ephesus at a temple.
The graven image. I don't believe it.
Why is that relevant?
I don't believe it, bro.
Basically, I kind of put this together when I researched who came up with this name Artemis. Who suggested this? How did this get even chosen as a name? And guess who the name of the person is who came up with the name Artemis for these set of missions in NASA? His name is Alexander MacDonald. I'm not making that up. The guy's name is Alexander McDonald. He pitched this idea to the, at the time, director of NASA. And he's credited for the inspiration behind the name. So here we have this guy who betrayed Paul and denied the God of creation, who, in order to defend the goddess Artemis, put some distance between the riot of people who are unbelievers and are profiteers over Artemis against the Jews, betraying Paul, betraying the gospel, betraying God, whom the Jews believe, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That Alexander. So, and that's the name of the guy who actually did the program. So I see as the Artemis, I believe Apollo missions and the Artemis missions are again a secular system in place with people interior who don't even realize how they're being used by Satan to pay homage to a once great goddess, fake as it was, demonic in fact. Any manifestation of power that would have come from Apollo or from Artemis was actually from a demon, empowered through Satan's deceptions. And here we have this program, and we have these people going up in this rocket on Wednesday. And I hope, and I'll even go as far as to say and pray, that the mission goes without a hitch and these people come back safely. But I can't escape how I felt today when I was watching this documentary on the program, how what came to me several times is God will not be mocked. So this is dangerous stuff to begin with, but we'll see what happens. Let's just say that evening, if it does not get delayed, I will be watching from this window right here. I'm not driving over to Titusville or something, you know, that's for sure. But because they're apparently predicting upwards of 400,000 people descending on that one place to all get a view up close. And I'm content with seeing it from an hour away out my back window and watching that rocket. It's going to be quite a sight. It's going to be a massive fireball going up in the sky. It's incredible, you know. And I remember back in the mid 90s at college in Florida here, where I went to college, I remember seeing space shuttle launch from the campus. And it's the first time I'd ever seen one in person, and it was at night. And I was in awe. It was the biggest fireball going up in the distance over the tree line. You see it come up, and it was far enough away that I really didn't hear it from what I remember, but you couldn't, I mean, it was like a massive fireball going up in the air at night. It was incredible. One of the most coolest things I ever remember seeing. And I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And I just wanted to share that message. Totally different. I normally do a video on Thursday. I really haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to talk about my regular time on Thursday, but that'll be a
So that's crazy, right? I mean, the Greek and Roman goddess Sol Invictus and Diana is just America's gods. And her judgment lies right there at the Capitol buildings over there where they say laws are passed and things of this nature. And this blind woman statue stands there with a sword and the scale of justice in her hands, and blind as a bat. But this is the philosophy and who laws you follow. The laws do you follow? Type this in, especially the chat room, especially my moderators. The laws you follow is the God you worship. Laws equal worship. LAW. Laws you follow is the God you worship. Does that make sense? That's the easiest T-shirt print ever on Etsy, right? The God you follow, the laws you follow is the God you worship. You see how law and religion, that's the only religion you got. Okay? The laws you follow is the God you worship. And you go to church and say, "Thank God for letting me follow these things, for giving me the rules. If not, I'll be out here like Pookie and Ray Ray. Woo! Still confused. The laws you follow is the God you worship. Okay? It's as simple as that. They follow Roman laws. So the God and Roman and Roman law, civil laws. So the gods they follow is either Greek Sol Invictus or Rome Artemis, or vice versa. Whatever it is that they do, they're together anyway. It doesn't matter. Whatever they say it is. Watch this. The gods of this world is the rules, set the rules on you living your life contrary to God's law. So you got Adam and Eve in the world tripping, and you got people who follow God's law off in their own little communities, off in their own little world, growing and doing things and productive. So um, I got to make that known. The law you follow is the God you worship. We got to make that highly recognized in this play because I shouldn't have to tell you, let the shirt do it. I'm just saying. I thought you see, I can't now it's not on me to feel that much. Hey, I told you the laws you follow. So if you out here thinking that murdering your own brother is a good thing, guess what God you worship? Damu and Crip God and the sorcery behind that. So when the Crip God and the Blood God and the Pimp God trick your psychological thinking pattern into spending the rest of your life under the judgment of Artemis, don't be looking for no sympathy because this world knows it already. Don't be looking for no sympathy. Now, if sympathy is given, that's God blessing. That somebody can understand the plight of a damn criminal and a person condemned. Ain't that something? Normal people just go about their life. Oh, Pookie got 100 years. It's too late now. We got to live after his son. Sign him up to the state. Get that check. Drop his big head ass off at school. Yeah. Y'all know the program. Oh, you know I'm from Universe 25. Drop his big head ass off. Tell him that's his daddy now. Press one. Mm, mm, mm. So I call that civil war. When you see that many black men in jail with kids out here, I call that the civil war. That's what I call it because it's civil law that got you in there. Hit the like button in your belief that Artemis ain't gonna come get your black ass. Press one, but God sends the Redeemer to save you from the grips of Artemis and Egyptian form, whatever. Doesn't matter. They can't compete anyway. Step aside. Step aside. Step the fuck aside. They can't compete with Mr. Motherfucking Gillespie. These word patterns. I gotta smoke some goddamn weed to slow this shit down. Press one. I gotta, since I'm going so fast, I smoke a little weed, bring that OODA loop all the way down. Press one and still keep the inertia and still keep the variable constant. Press one, boom. Damn. Damn. And still remain constant. Hold up, why other Pookies and Ray Rays just stop and say, you know what? I'm done for the day. It's 7:30 in the morning. Press one. I gotta slow down. So I tried to tell you, Artemis is the sin god. Rome, if you understand the mythos, you got to be able to understand the power behind the law. Because what's the Bible verse that says the power of sin is what? It's in the law. Let's get that real quick, as my brother, my good brother B from Texas will say. Hold on, let's get that real quick. The power of sin is the law, and this hold up, and the sting. Hold up, here we go. 1 Corinthians 15:56 highlights that sin gives death its final sting. Hold up. We gotta go to it. The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. Damn, that boy Kev cold. That boy Kev cold. The power of sin, and that's 1 Corinthians 15:56. Come on, fam. So that's a method you got to be able to break down. What does that mean? What's sin? Who is that? Well, they say it's a transgression against the law. Yeah, that's what they say. But then they'll use that to try to control you wearing some pants or some shoes or any dang thing that social environment seems, whatever. Right? I think it's more to it than that. I think sin is the moon goddess and the religious structure behind the moon and Artemis and Lady Justice and Sol Invictus, Greek and Roman. Why? Because what is sin? Who is that? When you look in the definition, it's these people. It's their gods. That's sin on the screen. So if that's sin, and that's who has the greatest power, and that's where all the power comes from, Rome, and everybody respect her of Capitoline Hill and the B system and the seven hills, the woman that sitteth on the crest one drunk with power. Who's that? Who made pussy a damn religious order? Who would do such a thing? Y'all think I'm playing? No, that's the Babylonian faith. It's that's their god, their fish god. They're just labeling it a fish god. It is a literal viper's mouth. Press one to hit the like button and subscribe. It is literally a viper's mouth. It is the original Mother Mary. Press one. Stop acting like you don't know. That boy Kev cold, huh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's why it's right there. Like that's why they worship that shit. The only religion on the earth of the world is phallus and coochie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Adult TV at this moment. Look at this. Yeah. So they can't even deny it. They can't even deny it. It's twerking all in algorithms millions of times over in galaxies beyond your comprehension. Spraying their twerk mist all over screens, all over my goddamn dimension. Press one. I'm trying to learn some about Artemis and motherfucking Apollo and learn, and boom. So people just got to stop perpetrating. I see what it is. The whole religious order. Mm, 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 mm. I just wanted people to know that it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible, and you're not reliving 2,000 years ago. This book was written, and it's already written how this plays out. AI can't even do that. Press one. It's already written. So all you got to do is get in line with what's written. What's written the word. Live by that, fellas, Adam, so you don't become under the judgment of Artemis and her justice department system, because the power of sin, hold up, press one, what? The sting of death is sin, right? So in the beginning, what happened? They said we died in the beginning, right? Adam and Eve, right? We chose the tree of good and evil, which is the tree of death, because that's where it leads to, with no spirit of God type in advance, like involvement. And the power of sin is the law. So the all those who are dead is under the law. This is not problem. This is not problematic, bro. Oh, are under the law. Don't the Bible say the law wasn't for the righteous? That's one. So all the unrighteous people should believe in Jesus. Yes, who died for the sins of the world. Mhm. If you a sinner, yeah, yeah, that's your way out right there. Get to the back. That's your way out. Yep. If you're a righteous person, hmm, continue to be righteous in God's eyes, not yours. Because your eye is the sun and the moon. First one. Your eye is the way you want. Your eye is I'm a fuck around my whole life until I can't fuck around no more. Some niggas waste their whole life running from a damn job. They should have got a job 30 years ago. They still running around the community, bugged out. You hear me? No, listen to me. They think about that time. That's the world of Artemis and Sol Invictus and Apollo. Hmm. That's the nigga. It's incompetent. Adam needs to be incompetent. And incompetence don't mean you can't fake a moon landing or a takeoff. They gotta be real smart. It doesn't make you incompetent. Incompetent don't mean you can't follow ingredients. Mm-mm. Incompetence means you are ignorant of the law. And if you are ignorant of the law, you are ignorant to God and the Holy Spirit. And so you operate aligned with that, whatever that is, whatever it is. But when it all falls down, don't be saying, oh, it's my fault. No. The power of what? The sting of death is in sin, and the power of sin is the law. Ain't no fucking way around it. It's not your world. You didn't create it. God made this world way before Adam and Eve was even thought of. Press one. Mm, mm, mm. And Eve came way after Adam. I watched the Instagram feed. Guess what it said? It said, why does it say female? It was a black woman, an Artemis woman. That's what I call her now. Artemis. Artemis head. You know me. Tell me more. I had to pause my little video game training session. Friends one, hold on. Tell me more. She like, why do they call, women always got a psychological motherfucker trick up their sleeve. You know me, I'm good for it. Run it by me. Why do they call it female? Because fee in the Greek, if press what, means first. Press what? So the female means pre-male or first male. Press one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rubbish. Hold on. Hold on. And she tried to go to the Bible and then tried to use the Greek. I don't follow the Greek. I speak Hebrew. That's what I speak blue letter. I don't listen to the Greek. Greek mistranslate, misconstrue, turn it into symbols and things external, right? Things you should be doing in theater rather than what you should be doing internally. I'm more internal work and letting it show on the outside. You know, letting it show on the outside. I'm more internal. So that's why you get the deep revelations. While over there you got to go up levels. I don't know what level you on. I know you want to go to KevRow University. I don't know what level you on. I know if you I don't see motherfucker so smart, he way up there in the heavens flying around and then came to KevRow University and ran into an invisible firmament wall. Then I seen people who didn't even appear like they had a spark in them. I didn't even know they existed or even went here. But guess what? They came, and the information that they do provide let me know their mind treasures this information. And that's all you can ask for. You feel me? That's all you can ask for. I know most people have no idea how to comprehend the things that I talk about. How could you? But at least on this level, we all watch this amongst many other things, right, Ali? Among other things, we watch that. And hold up, we just did uh how the moon married time and Artemis and Apollo and a part of the story we in because I'm not looking at Revelations or nothing from 2,000 years ago. I'm not looking like it already happened. That'll make my God a liar. I'm supposed to see it. That's one. I'm supposed to make sense of it. I'm supposed to seek and show myself approved. I got to do something. I just can't give up and say, oh, this happened 2,000 years ago. Oh, I might as well just forget this then. I might as well party up because that wasn't real. It was just mythos. It was just, you feel me? I don't want to wind up in that crowd a little too early, right? Because who wants to be a denier? And then it turns out to be real. See? See? Now you don't fail, not a regular test. You failed, your soul failed. It didn't even react to it. It didn't even sense it. It didn't even know it. You know, so yeah, it's in the scripture and it's written. I don't know who you are. You can be a Roman. You can be a Roman who converted. Press one. You can be a Hebrew Israelite, a thug, a religious thug. You can be a religious thug if you want to. But come over here and match it up with Kev Gills. As soon as we get to Titus or somewhere in scripture, it's gonna turn your whole belief system upside down. And if it doesn't, you not aligned, nor was it ever about alignment. It was about brotherhood and 501(c) tax exempt things so you can keep God's wealth. Press one, hit the like button and subscribe. They don't want to battle me because they know I know one scripture, knock them off, go boop, bop, boop. Press one, get it all out. They're going to say, what are you? I'm Batman. I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. I'm not none of that stuff. Nope. I'm a follower of truth. That means all preconceived ideas had to get washed away at some point. I had to get cleaned up somehow. I used to believe all that shit. Yeah. Oh man, consciousness, man, in your third eye, bro. That's why I be making fun of them. God got the right one. See, that's why I be making fun of that shit. Cause that's yeah, man. Just do it in the tone of 432 megahertz, and you're gonna be mm-mm, mm-mm. It's right here. This I never felt and this intelligent, this historically brilliant in my life with no third eye, no Pan Africanism, no Hebrewism, no chi, no nothing. First one, just the same old Kev, the word of God, trying to figure it out. And then I woke up again thinking I woke up. And then when I found out Hold on. Everything outside of the garden is sin. Now it makes sense, bro. Ain't no going back for me. What I'm supposed to do? Ain't everything outside the garden is sin? Mhm. So Yahweh and all, everything, everything. See, that's destruction. Nobody can argue that with me. So when I drop my book, everything outside the garden is sin and the word is law. You feel me? That's a different concept, bro. That's new. That's intellectual shit. You feel me? You can't mess with that. Word is law. Mm, Make sure y'all support the program. Yup. I got this beautiful, beautiful lecture, this opening to a lecture ready to go. Ready to go for those, for my students. Shout out to y'all. I just wanted to do a quick pull up and say, look what I found in scripture. And Jupiter, you know what your brain's supposed to do? It's supposed to go to 1828. So you can read the blue letter with me. What is Jupiter? See? Jupiter in the 1828. The air are heavens. Jovis Pater. That's one. One. The supreme deity amongst the Greeks and the Romans. Who's the god of the Greeks and the Romans? Nope. 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 Who's the god of the Greeks and the Romans? Jupiter. And where he at? In the Catholic Church. Right there. Look, look. One of the superior planets, remarkable for its brightness. Its diameter is about 89,000 miles. Its distance from the sun, 490 million of miles, 90 millions of miles. And its revolution round the sun, a less than 12 years. Ooh, so y'all operating on the time of Jupiter's time around the sun. Under the sea, under the sea, under the sea. Look, this is just definition. Mm, mm, mm. Welcome to KevRow University School of Hebrew in the blue letter. Press one. Thanks, Arnetta. Arnetta said, Kev, you don't know nothing, man. You gotta go to the blue letter. And then we went to the blue letter. Mm, what a glorious time it is to be alive. And but he didn't know. See, what they didn't know was the blue letter was the 1828 dictionary. That's the translation, Mr. Gillespie. See, that's the translation from Hebrew into the English. You gotta have the blue letter. That's what, and that's what I teach. Not numerology. That's what Adam teach. That's what Adam got fucked up. That's what the first Adam mistake was. Not all into that. Just following the rule of the game. Never thought in a million years Artemis would be up in the Bible. Mhm. But if you think about it from past tense, you would be like, man, those people sure was weird, not knowing you up there with Artemis trying to be a juror with your crooked ass. But well, they ain't never sent me that. They said this nigga is not a worshiper of Jupiter or Saturn. Press one, he not sending people to the cube of Saturn. Press one, because they fell against Jupiter. Nah, he ain't no Roman, bruh. Wow, it's getting quiet. It's getting quiet. You better come out of that Roman Spaniard mythology. Press one, Mr. Gillespie is on the airwaves. Oh, let's see who's contributed to this truth. this morning. Shout out to y'all. Let me see. Let me see. Who contributed this $4? Hey, shout out to Taj talking about the word is law. Shout out to you, Cedric Bernardo. Thank you. No, thank you, sir. Deborah Nichols, he in AM class, sir, for the $10. And our first business day, and we in motion. Hit the like button and subscribe. So I'm just let y'all know, Kev don't make too much. 10, 20, $24. Plus one, Kev is the man though. Gotta keep my program rolling. No, no, KevRow. I don't want to hear none of that. Shout out to Forest Glory. Oh, KevRow. And these is my sponsors. These are my sponsors. This is the program where the sponsors take care. Press one, hit the like button, and subscribe. We finna fuck Jupiter up. So Jupiter got baby mamas and baby daddies and kids everywhere and ain't claimed them. Cause they all up under George Washington Gillespie shit. So y'all guys don't even make sense because they living through the will of George. Verse one, and he's kids. Where y'all kids? Why we gotta take care of everybody kids? If y'all Jupiter kids, why black people gotta take care of y'all? That's what I don't understand. Why the children of our God, Israel, got to take care of y'all kids and y'all from Zeus and Artemis and the kids of Lucifer and transhumanism? Because when brother and sister fuck and have kids, the kids are confused, and then them confused kids have more confused, and they tell them mythos stories, and they actually believes that the Lord of the Rings is real. That's one. Them is some retarded ass babies. You lost your brain, Mr. Motherfucking Gillespie. Press one. Yeah. Kev done rolled up this morning and pulled up on Jupiter, Satan, and the celestial homies. Press one. Stick 'em up, bitches. Mr. Motherfucking Gillespie. Hey, listen. Y'all ain't never on your life, in your motherfucking career of being a fucking amoeba, and seen a nigga challenge the gods of this world like this. And I'm in some fucking Air Forces. Well, I'm in the motherfucking Air Force One. Hit the like button. I'm out here saying shit. They put boundaries on what not to say because the motherfucking celestial gods of the church are they're gonna come get you. Press one. Well, you know, you ain't never frontline the war, nigga. You ain't never headline the tour. Ain't none of this. Press one. You gotta be ready to go to war, nigga. Give a damn about Jupiter. I ain't never seen Jupiter at the welfare office. And if y'all his kids, why he leave y'all out here like this? That's the original piece of shit, baby daddy. Hit the like button and subscribe. Jupiter is a piece of shit. And them kids of his is out here fucking up the earth. Press one. Does that make more sense to you, occultic motherfuckers? Just now, motherfucker, you smell me? The like button and subscribe. You not occultic. You just like Scrabble and motherfucking word and board games. You like Pictionary. Miss one, you're not intellectual. You afraid of the gods you serve. Miss one, you really like Mousetrap. No, you like the little game. Sorry, you like Milton Bradley type shit. You ain't really with chess and checkers. See, you motherfuckers ain't passing code or none of that shit. You niggas thought y'all was playing chess. No, nigga, you niggas is shooting dice, bro. You niggas is shooting craps against the wall, motherfucker. You ain't playing no goddamn chess. You motherfuckers hope playing at the game where you put the ball in the middle of the thing and spin it around. That motherfucker jump on the black or red or all these dumbass fake analytical motherfucking science fiction type of press one. Play you some chess or play you some poker. Play a fucking man's game. Quit playing. Hit the like button and subscribe. The gods of Jupiter. Somebody give me the information on the equivalent to the gods of Jupiter in Egyptian form so we can make sure we get a collective of these these spiritual busters. Hit the like button and subscribe. Scroll the feed. I ain't even ate breakfast yet. Hey, matter of fact, you niggas is my breakfast. Put it like that. Hey, shout out to me. I know he laughing like a hey, you niggas is breakfast. Press what? Following the moons. Mm, mm, mm. Following the moons and the sun. So there go God right there. Right there, with your dumb black ass. Well, who created that? Nothing. That's God. And that's his wife, the moon. Press one. What in a thingamajig? That's the moon. That's the moon goddess. And they creation. That's why I said you can't get no knowledge from a rock, nigga. That shit ain't real. That's the moon. Y'all don't turn the moon into celestial beings with human form with your dumb ass pyro. Verse one, y'all be like, this is Caesar. This is the Greek goddess. And you like, where's that? Right there. Well, who fucked her up and why he on fire? Verse one, because whoever did that, nigga, they must have did some bad shit if he burning up and ain't nothing left of her head like a bald head scallywag. Ain't got no hair in the bag. Jail good. Beat up. Artemis forehead fucked up. Need to get bout. Press one day until press one a repetition. Hey, they think it's a man on the moon. It's a bald head scallywag. Ain't got no hair in the back. Jail good. Beat up. Her shit is fucked up. Need to get out. That's one. Artemis tripping bald head ass. That's why she wants you to imagine how beautiful she is. Oh, you close your eyes and imagine. I am one of the greatest. That's the fuck up. Bald head ass. Bald head mean you're trying to act like y'all moon goddess ain't bald head. If the God you serve, Miss One is the laws you follow. She got her shit burned up. Your shit ain't burned up. Blessed be to you who worship Diana. You bald head frauds. First one, and you niggas who bald head who got the George deficit. You need to go get your shit edged up too, partner. Niggas hate this school. Nigga is the professor and the class clown. Damn. Let's get your shit edged up too. Mm, mm, mm. Bungalows is hilarious. What happened to that nigga with that Adam's apple on his forehead? President, tell that nigga to come here. These niggas can't compete with Kev, the true champion. Nigga got the whole planet of Jupiter sitting in front of his bald head, talking about people on his internet. This nigga ain't got a moon of Jupiter, a celestial rock growing out of his shit. Press one. This nigga, that's the shit to hold his glasses up. That's one. You think the nigga is double nosed. This one. Not double nosed, nigga. That's two of them, nigga. But nope, that's a lumpy lump. Hit the like button. Welcome to KevRow University. Power hour. Press one. This is the only way black people learn. You got to be multidimensional with this shit. You got to be able to teach, rap, smoke a blunt, be smart, be stupid, all in one. Nigga, you ain't fucking with me. Hit the like button and subscribe. And you got to have a Patreon and a Cash App. And they must support Spiritual Busters. Press one. I done graduated, Woody. Them people coming because the block is hot. What she done? The block is hot. Hey, Todd. They ain't fucking with us, bro. We been through too much on this earth, bro. They can't confuse us no more. All right, we're tired of it, ladies. We don't want to worship Artemis with you no more. That's what we gonna be saying going into 26, 27, and 28. We out of there. She ain't gave us nothing but problems. He was her. Miss One. Jupiter, he must be something because he up out of here. Miss One. How the hell did he a bitch all the way to it? That's fucked up. That's that came out. That called taking a shit. The fallen angel is a piece of shit, literally, because their father is a piece of shit. Hit the like button and subscribe. The Rock says their father shitted them out and they failed. Press one, Jupiter, big head ass. Press one, and Jupiter, man, in a motherfucker right now. He know I'm coming. Press one, and his name know I'm. Don't with this shit. Been with this shit since I was a little kid playing around. Jupiter know what's up. Nigga, he ain't gonna say nothing. That's one. He is gonna see y'all supporting me though. He ain't gonna lie about that. That's one way to get your ass rejected. I ain't gonna tell you by Zoo. That's one. And Jupiter. That's one. Once you start supporting the truth, boy, it's over for your little whatever it is. Jupiter ain't that shit. You just gonna get caught into work early for no reason. Shit. Press one, just dumb shit. But the process itself, God just say it's the process of refinement. You know, what don't kill you to make you a little bit stronger. You take that, build upon that. Every brick by brick. You say you a mason, right? Then build, little nigga. Build. Press one. Build, little nigga. Build. You got a whole life. And remember what Nip said. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. Don't try to move faster than nobody. You ain't, you feel me? Becoming you don't mean superseding everybody else. Press one. I'm right here giving this knowledge and wisdom. People come to school for this shit. I'm talking about how your whole nation is built off of the judgment of Artemis. So just the simple fact that you question NASA is questioning Artemis. Who's the Greek god of propaganda? This is how you got to look at this. Look, this is who you make mad every day. All right? Who's the Greek god of propaganda? Send it to me as I display Super Jupiter. Y'all was supposed to tear down these people. These people rebuilt the same gods that Moses told them they bet not. They back up to the same tricks, thinking that the real children of God won't notice. You feel me? So let's go to the let's go to Google and let's set this up properly. All right. Because I know most of y'all didn't do the homework that we just laid out. So let's go to Jupiter, the god Jupiter. Hold on. All right. Let's go to it. All right. Jehovah. Okay. Jehovah. In Romans, religion, and mythology, Jupiter, Latin, Lu- Lupiter, are you are you Jupiter from Proto Italic de Jaus. Mm, mm, mm. Day sky plus Peter, father, thus sky father. Hold on. Let's go to Sky Father. In comparison, Sky Father is a term recurring concept, king of the gods. And the concept is complementary to Earth Mother. Okay, let's go back. Okay, this is the god of thunder, member of the archaic triad, Capitoline triad, and the deconcentus. So Christianity is based off of the Greeks and Romans, and they don't believe in none of what you think they do. They believe in this. This is their God with the little wee wee. Come on, nigga, did he castrate himself? Hold on. Oh hell no! Y'all done lost y'all brain. What happened to his penis? Well, that messed up. What y'all, bro? I'm out of here. Mm-mm. See, see, it would be me to notice him. Hold on, bro. This don't look right. There's something missing in this picture. 'Cause I know as a black man in America, there's one, and they say he black. Not that one. First one, ain't no way. This a nigga right here. A nigga. Because one is not can go to the gym and forget to attach his penis like an old lotto shoe on for today. Because one, what in the word of the God of Babylon? One, it's all out here doing. Transhumanism is the false sense of the way. Oh, figured. Hold me like the river Jordan. Hey, Lita, something missing, Lita. Y'all don't see nothing strange about this right here, right here. How you gonna have a kid? Come on, Dave. It's not your babies, nigga. First one, he who sucks your dick. Why? What? Kev ain't going, bro. I'm tired of believing deities with no male upon parts and females with extra masculinity. Uh, this nigga just got a pair of balls. Remember them balls the people used to come like nunchucks. They used to clap them up and down, back, 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 back. This nigga, it's out here, bear, nigga, just ass and balls, sir, sir, with the beard, sir. Is this the world that y'all got is transhuman? That's why it's Baphomet. So it got titties. Oh shit. I don't know what to take this world for. Do we condemn it now? Do we just burn it down? Please, God, come down from heaven and condemn this poor excuse of toxic masculinity. For they have developed into themselves an Andrew Tate type of character, a man of brute force with no punching power. This is the god of the red pill community, Jupiter. One big ball floating around the universe. Where's this one? This one, if he's so big and strong, right? These are the gods y'all want me to follow on earth? These be your gods? There's one, look at Kev just raising this shit today. Nigga, please. Ain't no comedian from Demonville that can help y'all at this moment. You can't clown your way out of this, nigga. You know, once your God got a little penis, nigga, it don't even count no more. I know who your father is, nigga. He ain't even got a penis. Kids. So I don't know who your father is because it's scientifically anomaly that this is even possible. How the hell are y'all children of Zeus? And Zeus don't even have a penis or Osiris. or whoever y'all out here believing in whichever form Mr. Gillespie is in full animated mode. How your God standing there like he just God gifts to who? What? Who? Why God said stop making statues. That's why God said this. Stop y'all embarrassing yourselves, thinking y'all power can do something. Y'all really think y'all Apollo and all them this one? Mm, mm, mm. This who y'all be drawing y'all masculine power from, fellas? Huh? I got a question. When y'all say y'all be drawing on from the planets and the ancestor and all this, boy, now let me guess. The white man blew it off. Cause he don't want you to know it's black man. Right there, right there. Let me guess. Joe goofy looking self. Always got an excuse brewing around the Now, I wonder Artemis got more testosterone than the rest of you niggas. Mm, Greek mythology is actually fun. I can write comic books to this shit. This shit is fun. The fall of motherfucking superhero. Damn. Damn. And they ain't even never noticed that. Ever. They just said that's Jupiter, big buff god of the universe. Kev, dumbass, gotta come. Only nigga on earth that'll even dare to say shit against this big buff ass titan frozen in time in the Catholic Church. Press one hit the like button and subscribe. I don't follow statues and rocks and males with no penises. That's the wrong nigga. Remember one? My God created Adam and Eve. Remember one? Never hit the like button and subscribe. This guy here, I don't even think this is fiscally responsible. I don't even think this can even. I don't even. What? How many kids you got, sir? Hit the like button and subscribe. I don't. I have big balls, but no penis. Hey, remember when God said a person, a flat nose couldn't get into heaven, or it was a whole list of people. It was a whole list. It was a. They think it's only 10 commandments. Shh, I'm down in the classroom. It was a whole fucking list of flat nose people. That's Peter. So if Peter, okay, so if you a child of Peter, then you must. That's fine. Hold on, magic trick, bitch. The Riddler got another riddle for your black ass. Since you so goddamn smart. Press one, hit the like button, or better yet, hit the cash app. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? This is the best theologian class I ever been in. Facts. Finding out and pulling the dress off of all the Greek and Egyptian gods to show they's a bunch of spiritual busters. Press one. Don't be a child of a spiritual buster. They sitting up here blaming God and God's a buster and he left us down here and all these. But if you go to their gods, I bet you they gods don't have no sense of creation. You can't create nothing without that. That's what you can't create nothing without that. Every man know he needs one. We every bulldagger dyke woman's worst fucking nightmare. Press one. We the worst watch. They hate us. Hell, they hate us. I don't even want to front. They hate me on sight. On sight. Hate you. Mm-hmm. Good old Kevin DeLeo. Oh, they hate me. That's why they like their gods and these things of no law. That enforces no law. Castrate yourself. For their God have done it. Press one and look where they at. Stuck in time. Look at them. Mm, 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 What's that one god in Egypt where the one god was wrestling with the other? Seth, Set, Seti, and oh my goodness. Hit the like button and subscribe. It was they were wrestling and one of them bit the other penis off and you see, and then Osiris and Oshun picked it up and ran off with it, created a human vibrator that squirted things and ejected the child through that way. That's one. And thinking about their mythology is like watching porn because it's way out shit going on here. The phallus is removed. Why is the phallus removed? Mm, 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 mm. Because the phallus is erected on the earth, and Mother Earth, Gaia, is the one. Uh, I've been staring at the edge of the water longest. So that's why they think they was mermaids and squid people, because they're children of the water. They're like they believe they're the sperm. Press one. This is wow. This is the wildest theologian class ever, charging all of the gods with travesty. Because if these are the gods, then we got a blind woman judging us who's acting like a dyke because she is. Okay? And then this guy is supposed to be fucking over us, teaching us things, and motherfucker ain't even got no fucking penis. So, man, I'm tired of this transhuman upbringing. That's one that they don't brought us up with and don't try to blame everybody for this. Man, fuck that. I'm getting back to God. Everything outside the garden is you already know. Look where we are. Look, when we get to the fucking final end, the son of perdition don't even gotta want to worship it. You ain't on back, on back. Like, but God is hilarious, ain't he? He say, let him go ahead. It's gonna be a funny end to a movie. I know God is hilarious. I know that's why Satan was mad at the motherfucker in that movie. Yeah, God be up there laughing. Mm, no, no, this is hard. This is hard to see your people worship this type of stuff. This is hard. The angels and the future angels of and the replacements for those who fail. You feel me? It's hard to watch his creation worship themselves in a way that castrates or cut them off from his eternal life. Press one. They rather just think of science and all this other stuff. Science did it. And this is created by people who want to keep you cut off. Press one and castrate you permanently. Because this is all just statue. I'm making fun, but it symbolizes the castration. He has been cut off. I told y'all the celestial, they don't move. Those ain't places that's what happens where you just waiting for the judgment. They put them in cage balls like Pokemon. That's what planet is. They cage balls for demons and fallen angels awaiting judgment. Mm-hmm. You didn't know that? Them stars and shit y'all be looking at. I'm trying to tell you. It's not beautiful things. That's why don't dismay. They just wait right there. The planet y'all believe in, I told you, they're not in control. They in confinement. Stuck right there. In space and time. They can't even get out. You can't get in. Or vice versa. You can't get out. They can't get in. They ain't moved an inch, have they? No. Sit down. They swear they getting messages from Saturn, from Series B, from this one and that one. And nothing happens with those transmissions, do they? I mean, everybody just got to go back to work and finish paying their bill. That never happens in the world. In that world, press one. They be trying to give life to this shit, and they ain't got no life in them. It's dead. They teachings is dead. Picking it back up and redistribution of it go only lead to more death because it ain't nothing spiritual in it. Ain't nothing spiritual in it. Hit the like button and subscribe. So everybody out there, everybody out there pretty much worship this. This is if you Greek or Roman, you worship this. This is your God. And his children are the ones that be lifted up. That fail, look, boom. So now you gotta ask yourself, who's Satan? Damn. Who's Coca Can? What is it? Is it a system? What is it? Those questions we're gonna be asking and taking care of right here. Yup. And so, what's the moral of today's story? Man, change, repent, pretty much repent, because this world is in sin, total sin, shame, and you worship Lucifer or let's say Jupiter or Peter and the gods that Peter served. Why you think Jesus called Peter what? Get behind me, Satan. Press one. Get behind me, Satan. Because he understood. And here they is, develop a whole church, a whole Roman church with celestial gods of Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, all playing a role in all of that stuff. Don't need to rehash over what the hell they doing. You know what they caught up in. I just wanted you to know that the Artemis thing, Sol and Victor, or Apollo, that's real. The scripture is telling you exactly what's happening. So if you need more on that, tune in every day right here, Coffee and Kush TV, early morning. Truth. It is 10 o'clock here on the West Coast. Thank the few people who did contribute to this morning program. Who is this? Ollie Ware, B from Texas, Royal Purple, Forest Glory, excuse me, Taj, Cedric Bernardo, and Deborah Nichols. We shall come back with the beginning of rebuilding the loop process and understanding universe and how to navigate universe 25. Is it a complete lecture? I hope those of you who are ready for those, make sure you're there, make sure you're here and take part in it. Bring your notebooks and all that. This this show today though was just homeroom in a sense to where I can get that off my chest. I think people think I, just be talking, but no, I did those shows knowing, damn, this is a good moment in history that people should be observing, not watching Artemis, how the whole world marveled after the beast. Coffee and Kush TV, KevRow University. Love y'all. And as always, family, I holla.